to talk about the stocks of these guys. It's been a violent few months of trading for Funko. Funko investors have been on a wild ride since the stock went public at $12 in early November, below its initial price in range of $14 to $16. Investors weren't buying into the making of trendy figures. Funko stock opened at $8, closing at $7.07 on its first day of trading. The shares the next day before turning higher. Analysts would cover that the next few weeks, the ratings would justify the bounce, and Funko's first financial report as a public company earlier this month was intentionally well received. The stock is already drifting lower, declining in 9 of the past 10 trading days before Tuesday's morning's downgrade. Funko closed at $7 on Monday. Now let's get to our next story. In the last 5 months, Florida State University, Penn State University, Louisiana State University, and Texas State University all suspended Greek-like activities after each had a fraternity member die. University of Michigan and Ohio State University have suspended fraternities for the wake of allegations of sexual misconduct, hazing, and drugs. Recently, other universities have been looking into these cases and have been increasing the rules on their own fraternities. North Korea successfully test launched its latest ICBM back in November. It reached a height of 2,800 miles but traveled only 220 miles during its 54-minute flight before splashing down off the coast of Japan. Experts determined that had the missile been launched on its standard trajectory, it would have been able to hit the Washington, D.C. The CIA director, Mike Pompeo, has predicted that North Korea is just months away from being able to strike the United States. The U.S. has been warning North Korea to stop its arms tests, but lately North Korea has not agreed to any means of stopping. And now to our next reporter.
Thank you. I am here today to talk about Trump's choice in regarding Jerusalem. Against the main recommendations of many Western world leaders, President Donald J. Trump announced that the U.S. would now recognize Jerusalem as the new capital of Israel. In response to Trump's actions, the Palestinians called for a quote-unquote day of rage and protest. Only one person so far was killed in this day of rage protest. And to top that off, a rocket attack from the Gaza prompted Israeli military forces to conduct airstrikes in retaliation. Hopefully things will smooth over in Israel, and the protest won't get even more complicated than it is now. Speaking of complicated, earlier today, the House of Representatives voted to renew the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, or VISA for short. And the bill will now head to the Senate, where there is a January 19th deadline to vote before specific visa protections expire. This, what's supposed to be an easy vote, became complicated when President Trump tweeted this out that said, House votes on a controversial Visa Act today. This is the act that may have been used with the help of the discredited and phony dossier to so badly surveil and abuse the Trump campaign by the previous administration and others. This criticized the renewal despite the fact the White House is supporting the bill. But just over 100 minutes later after that tweet, he sent another tweet saying Visa was needed after the Republicans were scrambling to bring our president up to date. And on the legislation, because this was used against foreigners and not on Americans. Smooth, but not a very quick save. But what is saved today in Russia is the Kazan Cathedral in St. Petersburg. That's right, in St. Petersburg, Russia, Russian officials have been tipped off about a pending terrorist attack that could have happened at the Kazan Cathedral any time. After they were given this information, they raided the hideout of the Russians who were communicating with ISIS members through the messaging app, preventing the terrorist attack that could have happened. But who was responsible for this information? The Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. Not only are they responsible for giving the information that saved lives in the cathedral, they also got a personal thanks from Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia himself. ISIS troops have lost their capital, Raqqa. Syrian fighters, who were supported by the U.S., managed to drive out the majority of ISIS members in Raqqa. Count this as a victory. While it is a victory indeed, they also say that they still remain a threat. Analysts who have been monitoring ISIS leaders said that they have begun planning how to reinvent themselves as a quote-unquote underground insurgency, while the ISIS fighters who fled have shifted their fight to the oil fields in the eastern side of Syria. We wish Syria for the best of luck, but we'll be here if needed. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.
Amazon announced it was developing plans to open up a new headquarters to house as many as 50,000 employees at the cost of nearly $5 billion. The new headquarters would be a companion to the Seattle campus. While a new site hasn't been selected, Amazon has said that the new campus must be in a metropolitan area with a population over 1 million, be located within 45 minutes of an international airport, room to expand as large as 8 million square feet over the next decade, and have direct access to mass transit. London police arrested an 8-year-old suspect in connection with a terror attack at a London subway. The teen allegedly detonated a homemade bucket bomb. No one was killed in that bombing, but as many as 30 people were injured. Police also conducted a raid on a house, which they believe was with connection in the attack. London's threat level remained critical, indicating they were concerned another attack was imminent. Reports showed that London transit system now costs an arm and a leg. And our last story for the day, a big earthquake with a strength of 8.1 on the Richter scale hits Mexico. 2 million Mexicans have died, and over 1 million are injured. The country is totally ruined, and the government doesn't know where to start with asking for help to rebuild. The rest of the world is in shock. Canada is sending troopers to help the Mexican army control the riots. Saudi Arabia is sending oil. Other Latin American countries are sending supplies. The European community is sending food and money. The United States, not to be outdone, is sending 2 million Mexicans to replace the dead ones.